Welcome back to the most professional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Circleberg-Burkle, and here with a full house today are my co-hosts, Aaron, Siege, and Joe. Go ahead and say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
What's up? What's up?
All right. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our... Dang, I thought that one in. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into it. So in this video, we'll be talking about the upcoming New Year's Six Bowls in the college football realm. That includes, of course, the college football playoffs. We'll start with the Cotton Bowl Classic and then work our way down the schedule with whatever games pop up after that. So, first game we'll talk about, Cotton Bowl, Missouri Tigers versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. First time these two teams are matching up for, I believe, like 50 years or something like that. I think last time Missouri played Ohio State was like the 70s. So not a matchup you see very often. Are you doubting me, Aaron?
I don't know if it was that long ago.
I swear I looked it up, but I thought it was like 71. I could be wrong, though. You can fact check me as I talk, but yeah, first time we'll see this matchup in quite some time. Obviously, Ohio State feels that this bowl is beneath them because they're arrogant. But sitting a lot of their... I mean, as well as transfer guys sitting, of course. You also have a lot of their other players sitting just because they don't feel this bowl's worth it. Meanwhile, Missouri is basically taking this as their Super Bowl for the season. They take a lot of pride in making it this far, as they should, being not considered to be a very good team this year. A lot of analysts consider them to be one of the worst teams in the SEC, and here they sit at ranked 9 in the nation, but. Yeah, I'll start with you, Joe. How do you feel about this Tigers-Buckeyes matchup? Do you think the Tigers have the advantage with as many Ohio State guys sitting out as there is?
Go Tigers. I don't know. It is Ohio State. They probably have a bunch of 5-star backups that are probably just as good, but I mean. Missouri, I think, is going to probably want it more.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, the way the transfer portal works, the backups could probably be are most likely in the portal too. So
true.
If that's the case, I don't feel like anybody's they might not care as much, maybe not have as much on the line, so they're just kind of going through the motions. Don't really, they don't want to get hurt. So Missouri, they're going all out. Those seniors are they're going for it all.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is a huge game for Missouri. They kind of see this as a game to prove whether or not they should be taken seriously going forward in college football for the next few years. Because if they can knock off the Buckeyes, then they may actually be considered a legitimate team going into next season. Siege, what's your take on this game? Do you think the Missouri Tigers are going to be able to come out of this game with a W?
Well, kind of what you alluded to with, the transfer, people being in the transfer portal, people sitting out. I'm rocking with Mizzou in this game, just because, I think they're going to go out there and just be more experienced based on what I've seen from who's going to be playing for Ohio State and who's sitting and all that stuff. So I'm rocking with Mizzou. I have them in my pick'ems for the bowl season, so hopefully they can pull one out for me.
Fair enough. And yeah, I just looked it up. We've played Ohio State twice since the 70s, 97 and 98. But other than that, it has been since 76. And before that, it was like the 40s. So yeah, not a matchup we see very often. Aaron has saved the best for last, I feel like, with the Missouri fan. No offense, guys. But with my fellow Missouri fan here, I feel like he deserved to go last. So what do you think, Aaron? You think Missouri has a chance?
Yeah, I'm rolling with Mizzou. They've got a lot of returning players and players kind of maybe fighting for a little bit higher draft position, so I don't see a lot of the starters sitting out, whereas Marvin Harrison Jr. doesn't really have a whole lot to gain from playing in this game. I could see him sitting out. I haven't really heard one way or the other on him. Carson Beck transferred. I believe he's going to Syracuse, if I remember that correctly. So they're out there starting quarterback now. No, not Carson Beck. Comacord, sorry.
Yeah, Carson Beck.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm rolling with Mizzou. This could be a good win. They've been doing pretty well in the transfer portal and picking up some big recruits. So hopefully this continues that roll.
Yeah. If Missouri wins this game, I think they'll be considered one of the best SEC teams going into next season. Obviously not up there with Georgia and Bama. By no means do I think we'll be on the same tier as them by any means. But I think we'll be in the kind of like that second tier of SEC teams. Maybe up there with like the Tennessees, the Floridas when they're good.
I think we're already picked to finish 5th
for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's encouraging. And obviously,
I think it's Georgia, Bama, Texas, Ole Miss ahead of us. Kind of what people are thinking.
Yeah, so we'll probably be like right there. We're probably considered right there around with Tennessee and stuff like that then. But yeah, this is a big test for the Missouri Tigers program to see if really if this success is sustainable, because it's been a great year, but it's the first season under Drinkwitz where I think you can look at and feel really good about. Granted, he's kind of been progressing as he's taken over the head coaching duties there, but this is the first time you can actually take a step back and be like, okay, this was a really good season for Missouri since he had taken over. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come. I think the way they play in this Ohio State game is going to be a big indicator of that, especially with a lot of those guys returning next year. But moving on to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, where we have Ole Miss taking on Penn State. Penn State kind of picked as the favorite in this game, 4-point favorite according to the odds. Obviously, they've played some good teams up there in the Big Ten. You could say Ole Miss has played just as good, if not better, competition though in the SEC. So, what's kind of your opinion on this game, Aaron? Do you think Penn State's rightly considered the favorite?
No, I don't. I think they're way overrated. They've only played really 2 good teams, and that's their 2 losses.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the rest of their schedule, it's nothing really. I mean, Iowa, who's ranked, but they were nothing on offense. They didn't even score a point. So I'm not super high on them. I'm much more high on Ole Miss, who's also returning quite a few seniors next year on offense, especially. So I think this is going to be another kind of the same situation as Mizzou. Rolling in, they've been doing really well in the transfer portal too. So I think they're looking to keep that momentum up as well.
Yeah, and I know Ole Miss is, at least the fans are upset that they were ranked below Missouri, considered the 4th best SEC team. So I wonder if that's going to be a driving force behind maybe a little extra edge they may have in this game. But Siege, what do you think? Penn State or Ole Miss?
I don't know why my pick is the way it is, because I really haven't been paying attention to either one of these teams this year. But I have watched Ole Miss a couple of times. With that being said, I mean, they beat LSU. They played close games against teams they might not should have, like Arkansas and Auburn and A&M. Like, they were all one-score games. So that scares me a little bit, but just because I literally haven't watched Penn State at all this year, I'm going to go with Ole Miss.
Yeah, I kind of like...
literally my only reasoning.
Yeah, and kind of like Aaron talked about, other than that Iowa win, the only other 2 ranked teams that Penn State played this year were Ohio State and Michigan, who they were actually pretty competitive with, to be fair. 8-point loss to Ohio State, a 9-point loss to Michigan. So they were the clear-cut 3rd best team in the in the Big Ten, probably over Iowa, you could say, this year, especially considering
That's not saying much.
No, it's not, especially because Iowa's offense was non-existent. But still, it's something to be said that they were as close as they were in the Ohio State and Michigan games. But, Joe, what do you think? Penn State or Ole Miss?
I'm taking Penn State.
Ooh.
I think I don't know. I don't really care how high ranked Ole Miss is. I just don't think they're that good. I don't think they're up there to be. I guess they're in the better conference in the SEC, but
Damn right. Just
they're
means more.
they're at the bottom of the SEC. I don't think they're as close to the top as people think. If Ole Miss and Mizzou played, I'm taking Mizzou easy.
Oh, I
right
would,
now,
yeah.
but
I think that would be fair to say.
I don't think they're that good. I think Penn State. I think the Big Ten football with Penn State. I think they might be more physical than Ole Miss, and Ole Miss's defense is not good. They gave up they beat LSU, but they scored 55 points. That's because LSU's defense couldn't stop a leak.
Especially at that point in the season, yeah.
So I don't know. I think Penn State will get them. I'll even go out and say I think Penn State might put it on them a little bit.
Yeah, I think I can see it going one of two ways for Ole Miss. Either they're going to win or they're going to get blown out. Because you look at the Georgia game, obviously they got demolished. Granted, Georgia was obviously a really good team, but Missouri kept it close with Georgia, and they were considered on the same tier going into those two games back-to-back weeks. And still are for some reason, which in my opinion doesn't really make sense. Because I think, like you said, Joe, if the two teams were to play, I would take Mizzou, and it wouldn't even be close. Not just because I'm a fan, just because they've played much closer games against those top tier teams like Georgia and LSU. I mean, well, they lost LSU as opposed to Ole Miss, but I mean, more recently in the season, those Georgia games. So I think I go Penn State this one as well. After seeing as close games as they had against Ohio State and Michigan, I think that says a lot. But Aaron, you want to get one final word?
You're forgetting that they got the Michigan team without Harbaugh at coach, and McCarthy threw for 60 yards.
Yeah.
They lost, and McCarthy threw for 60 yards. They ran for 227 yards.
Yes, but I think
Penn State could not stop the run. They got bullied without the Wolverines having to throw the football.
I just don't think Ole Miss is that good when the chips are on the table.
Okay.
They gave up 35 to A&M.
Yeah, 35 to A&M.
They're not good.
They only beat Auburn by 7. Only beat Arkansas by 7.
Here.
Yeah.
I think I'm more on just Burke. I guess Aaron, you make a really good point.
You're right, you do.
Penn State, I remember watching the Penn State Michigan game. I don't think Ole Miss shows up in the big game.
Right.
Yeah. And I like the quarterback. I like Jackson Dart. I just don't think they show up when it matters.
It's really more. It's more of a feeling than anything. Like you bring up a lot of great points that I really have no argument to. But I just feel like Ole Miss is gonna blow it.
It's a good argument, but you're still.
Yeah, it's like yeah, you could present all these facts to me that the Cowboys are a really good team, but at the end of the day, they're the Cowboys, you know. And we saw that this weekend. So that's just the way I've seen the Ole Miss Rebels this year. Is they just can't win when it matters. But yeah, I hope it's a good game.
1-2.
I bring up facts. He disagrees with
my
me.
pick. I'm like, man, you know what?
I bring up anecdotes. He disagrees with me.
I told you, I can't really argue against your points because they're all valid. Yeah, they lost to a Michigan team that they arguably shouldn't have if they were considered a top 10 team, but it's vibes, dog. It's vibes, dog. Moving on to the. Oh, I thought this was Sorry, I had the bowl name wrong for a second. I was like, Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl? What? The Capital One Orange Bowl, where the Georgia Bulldogs are taking on the Florida State Seminoles. Two fan bases that are furious they're not in the playoffs right now, specifically Florida State. But I've seen a lot of Bulldogs fans argue that they should have maybe made it in as well. They were the best team up until conference championship weekend, after all. So that is it's got to be a tough pill to swallow for them. But I think without Jordan Travis, Georgia's probably going to steamroll these guys. Joe, what do you think?
I'm gonna take Georgia. I like to think Florida State is gonna come out with a feel-good story. You know, they just got snubbed and come out.
It would be cute.
Just, you know, really set the tone and show why they should be there. But yeah, a dog.
Siege, what about you?
Florida State's getting beat by a minimum of 30. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Aaron, would you like to?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, even with their second string they looked really bad against Louisville
really
with their
bad.
third string.
Yeah.
But even with their second string, that's a team that barely beat Florida. So yeah, I'm with Siege. Like 4 touchdown game minimum. It
won't be quite as bad as TCU's performance last year in the Natty. Just because it was the Natty, because Georgia's not going to try as hard.
Yeah.
But it's a minimum of 30.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I agree. This game's not going to be close. I mean, the spread's opening up at 14 in Georgia's favor.
Go the next game on that note.
So, yeah, I don't see Florida State winning. But they should have been in the college football playoffs. Moving on to the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. We've got the Oregon Ducks taking on the mighty, mighty, undefeated Liberty Flames. Ducks. Aaron?
On the next game,
Ducks.
who do we got?
I understand this. You know,
I hate it. I hate
best
it. I think
group
it's
of 5
stupid.
teams
No, screw it. I hate it. I think it's so dumb.
getting
I
a
think it's so dumb.
bowl game, but this
This
is
is-
not the game to give them.
No.
This is absolutely not the game to give them.
give them
There are
Florida
so many
State.
teams that are much more deserving in
Give-
this game.
Well, and give Liberty Florida State. Like, make it at least competitive for them, because
That'd be an interesting matchup.
that would be
going into
interesting.
that game.
Oregon versus Georgia would also be interesting. Oregon versus Liberty and Georgia versus Florida State, both going to be awful games to watch.
With that being said, give me Liberty.
The Dylan Gabriel effect's already rubbing off.
Yep.
Gross game. Moving on to, we are looking at our college football playoff games now, starting with the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential, where the Alabama Crimson Tide will take on the number 1 ranked Michigan Wolverines at full strength now that Harbaugh's back. I still have Alabama. They are just, after beating that Georgia team last week, and Harbaugh having a notorious record of blowing it in playoff games, I think Alabama and Nick Saban are going to end up rolling towards the... not rolling, I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think Alabama wins out, especially the experience end of things with the coaching staff. Crimson Tide to the national championship. Aaron, who you got?
I am a firm believer that if you watch that SEC championship game, you watch the national championship already. So I think Michigan has a good defense. I think they've got a really good run game. I think J.J. McCarthy is their biggest question mark
I agree.
as far as the team goes. You know, the same can kind of be said for Alabama. Jalen Milroe, he's their biggest question mark. His
Yeah, but the
accuracy
quarterback's
and
always Bama's
bad at
weakest link,
times.
you know?
I think Alabama has the best defense in the country,
As they do usually.
and they beat the best team in the country in Georgia. So I'm rolling with Bama.
Siege.
I wish you guys weren't rolling with Bama so I could switch it up a little bit, but I'm also rolling with Bama simply because
It just means
really,
more.
really the only difference in this Michigan team this year than last year is having a healthy Blake Corum, or a somewhat healthy Blake Corum for this go around with the playoffs, and they lost to TCU and they blew it, and so I don't think anything's going to change. I don't think Michigan's the better team in this game. I think Alabama's the better team, so I'm going with Alabama.
Joe, are you rolling with us, or are you going to be the odd man out here?
I'm going Bama.
Okay.
Sorry. I was almost sneezing, but yeah, Bama. They just came back. They're coming off a win against Georgia, and they've been here before. And Bama in the playoffs is not a team that's really to mess with. So it's gonna go with those guys.
When your only loss is an
more
early,
interesting.
When your only loss is an early season matchup against the number 3 ranked team in the nation, it's a pretty good record. So yeah, Bama's. I mean, granted, Michigan doesn't have any losses, but I just think Bama's faced better competition.
Their only real game of the season was Ohio State.
Oh, as most years, that's their only real game of the season. So, meanwhile, Bama, you're playing Georgia, Tennessee, fucking Missouri. Oh, you didn't play them this year, but Texas.
You guys ain't there yet. Keep them.
Well, no, but like
we got them next year. We got them next year.
We want Bama. We want Bama. But yeah, all four of us going Alabama with that one. Crazy how they went from the 7th ranked or 8th ranked, whatever they were before the conference championship, to now they're arguably, you could say, the favorites to win it all in the span of 1 week. And in our final game, we got the All-Star Sugar Bowl between the Texas Longhorns and the Washington Huskies. I mean, man, this is really tough. I really don't know.
This is the toughest game of them all.
This is the toughest one, I think, out of all of them. Texas has looked really good as of late. Obviously, that only loss being against Oklahoma earlier in the year. In what was a really ugly game, too, by the way. Really weird game all the way around. I don't think that was a typical Texas football game. I don't think there's many teams, this year at least, that can keep Texas from playing their brand of football outside of Oklahoma because of that rivalry. I think the same would go for Washington. I don't think they're going to be able to keep Texas from playing their brand of football, and I think Texas ends up winning this one. Joe, who you got?
I'm going with the Huskies. I don't know if I can honestly be confident and say that defense can get much stops on Texas, but yeah. I'm just gonna ride with the Pac-12 in their final year. Go Huskies.
I like it. Siege.
Well, Texas is back.
Apparently.
They're back in the playoff, and it was a good ride. And those Texas fans really want to see them go on and face Alabama in the Natty, but it's not happening because Washington's gonna roll.
Okay.
I think. My reasoning is, I don't think Texas is the same team that they are now when they played Alabama, and I know for a fact Alabama is not the same team when they played Texas. But
no, they're not.
I think Texas has some questions to figure out. I mean, yeah, they look good as of late because they played Texas Tech and a undeserving OSU team that somehow ended up in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a 3-point game against Kansas State. They had a 3-point game against TCU, and then they
A
got
3-point game against Kansas State that they should have lost.
And you
In
could argue
they
they
should
should
have
have
lost
lost
to
the TCU
Houston.
game too.
in fairness,
Should
I
also-
personally think K-State was a lot better this year than their record. But continue.
Well, I mean, maybe, but they shouldn't keep it close with Texas if they're the number 3 team, in my opinion. I don't know.
Could be
I
close to
think
number
Texas
9.
is gonna see the most explosive offense that they've seen all year with Washington, and
That's
I don't
true.
think they're necessarily prepared. Well, I mean, they probably are prepared, but not for that. I
Yeah.
think Washington probably has, outside of Alabama, has one of the better defenses that Texas has seen. And Washington took care of Oregon, so I don't think they're going to fumble the bag here against Texas. I'm going UW.
Yeah.
I would just argue that, yeah. I guess my one counterpoint to that would be that Texas is a little bit more physical than Oregon, I think, this year. But, Aaron, who you got?
I think a lot of it depends. If it's the Texas team that showed up against, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, I think it's going to be a really good game. They were really just kind of coming on all cylinders there, both on offense and defense. But I think Washington has shown a lot of growth, especially on the defensive side of the ball. These last couple games of the season, I think they have probably one of the most talented wide receiver rooms in the nation, a very solid quarterback, and a very good running back. So they're stacked on offense, and with them figuring it out on defense these last couple games, I tend to lean towards the Huskies as well.
Okay. Well, I'm the only Longhorn fans this week, so horns up.
We're down, boy.
Yeah. Too sweet. Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see what happens with that one. I think we all agree that should be the best game of the first 6 bowl games of New Year's 6, at least. You don't think so, Aaron? Which one? I guess let's go ahead and do that before we wrap up. What do we think is going to be the best game of the series? I think Texas Washington is going to be the best.
I do think this one's going to be the best, but I think Alabama, Michigan could be really good as well.
Okay, Siege.
Are you talking just the
New Year's
playoff
6
games?
Yeah. Well, no, New Year's 6 in general. I mean, it's probably going to be one of the playoff games, but
I think the Texas and Washington game is probably going to be the best out of all of them.
yeah,
And then I think Ohio State Missouri could be a really good game too.
it could
Just
be.
depends on
Yeah,
who ends up actually playing for Ohio State.
right. That's the big caveat there. Joe, what do you think?
I'm gonna go to Texas. My bad. Bama, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
I picked Bama to win, but I could see it.
See, I just
I
think
could see it being a tough fight, 4 quarters. Part of me really thinks that Bama's gonna put it on them a little bit,
right.
or
That's
at
kind
least
of
just
what I'm
handle the
feeling.
win, like not down to the
Like 14
wire
or
like they did with
21. Yeah.
Auburn. Yeah, but I could I think that first half of the game could be really exciting before Bama maybe pulls it off.
Yeah, kind of like the Patriots Chiefs game this past week.
And I'm just trying to go against the grain, pretty much. That's really the honest answer.
No, I like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
contrarian pick.
yeah. I like contrarian picks. I'm known for them.
All the other games are hard to argue how good they'll be, because
Right.
like we said, who's gonna play, who really wants to play.
Mhm.
Only 4 teams probably really want
yeah.
to be there, where every single player on that roster wants to
Mhm.
be there right now.
And we talked about 2 out of the 6 are like, if you would have switched up the matchups in those 2 games, where it's Liberty, Florida State, and Oregon, Georgia, those both could have been really
Yeah.
good games. But because of they're not those matchups, they could both get really ugly really quick, I think. Yeah, unless y'all have anything else to add, I think that'll do it for this episode of most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube, Swivel Chair Sports. I've been your host, Zach Circleberg Burkle, here with my co-host today, Aaron, ZJ, and Joe. Go and say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Later.
All right. Deuces.